corrupted version of the Bible. You come up, it's the Bible.
Why do you, so this is a corrupted version?
This is the corrupted version
What's
of the Bible.
what's the evidence that the Bible is corrupt? What's the
So, for
evidence?
example, what's the evidence? This book we consider is the final book, complete book, without any contradiction, directly from the God, revealed to a prophet who was neither able to read and write. You're getting my point. And then this book, which we consider as the truth, it's written inside it that this book is corrupted. And simple
Okay.
as that.
Well, just so
And this
in
book-
other words,
if I just go, and the book which I'm talking about is preserved from 1400 years. It's in the same condition from last 1400 years. The prophecies of Prophet Muhammad are coming true. We can see the prophecies of Prophet.
let me go back because I think you're throwing in all sorts of red herrings here.
I will not go
All
into
sorts of red herrings here. You look like a sensible man. Yeah, but I'd really like to get to some sense here because so far you haven't given any meat to chew on. You've just made claims after claim after claim. I'd like to find out evidence. Anyone can show up here and say, you are a murderer, you are a thief, you are this, you are that. What's the evidence you have that this is a true religion? Islam is a true religion. What's the evidence you have?
Quran is the evidence.
Explain.
Quran, the book which is preserved from last 1400 years in its form, revealed to Prophet Muhammad, not changed. There is no any contradictory thing in it. It's being revealed by the God. This is the evidence.
So
And
in
this is
other
the
words,
miracle of Prophet Muhammad.
in other words, your one claim right now, one argument right now, is that the preservation of this text is the evidence.
Yeah, that is the one evidence.
Yeah, that's the one you've given so far. Good. We'll see if it is a fact or not. That's the one claim you've made so far.
Enough.
Let's see if that.
See why? Just bring a counter to it. If you count,
I'm going to.
just
I'm
count
going
it
to right now.
in
I'm
one
going
line-
to right
in
now.
one line counter
I'm going to
something
right
the
now.
Quran.
I'm going to right now.
To begin with, the fact that a religious book appeared 1,400 years ago does not prove that it came from God. The age of a text doesn't automatically make it true. If age were the measure of truth, then much older religions like Hinduism or ancient Egyptian beliefs would have a stronger claim to truth. But of course, no Muslim would accept that. Truth is not measured by how old something is, but by the content itself, its consistency, and the evidence that supports it. So what about the Qur'an? Does it come with reliable proof? In reality, the entire Qur'an was claimed to have been revealed to just one man, Muhammad. There wasn't a single objective witness to the moment these revelations came down. Even when Muhammad said he was receiving messages from the angel Jibril, no one around him could see or hear the angel. Everything depends on Muhammad's personal claim. That's a stark contrast with the prophets of the Bible, and even more so with Jesus Christ, who is far more than a prophet. His teachings, miracles, death, and resurrection were witnessed by multitudes, recorded by multiple authors, and widely proclaimed while those eyewitnesses were still alive. But it doesn't stop there. The manuscript evidence for the Quran is extremely weak when compared to the Bible. The Bible has thousands of ancient manuscripts preserved in multiple regions and languages. The Dead Sea Scrolls, for example, are strong archaeological proof that the Old Testament texts were faithfully preserved centuries before the birth of Jesus. These discoveries show that the Bible was not manipulated as often alleged. In contrast, the Quran underwent a political process of codification and filtration. In the early days of Islam, multiple versions of the Quran circulated. The third caliph of Islam, Uthman ibn Affan, ordered all existing copies of the Quran to be burned, except for one official version he approved. Now think about that. If every version of the Quran was truly identical, why would there be any need to destroy the others? The act of burning competing versions speaks volumes. It suggests there were textual differences serious enough that they couldn't be left in circulation. Then there's the popular claim that the Quran has no contradictions, unlike the Bible. But the truth is, the Quran is filled with inconsistencies. Take the creation of mankind, for example. In various passages, humans are said to be created from clay, from water, from a clinging clot, from sperm, and even from dry mud. These are not complementary descriptions. They clash with each other. The Bible, on the other hand, gives a clear and consistent account. Man was formed from the dust of the ground, and God breathed life into him, a complete, coherent, and unchanging narrative.
So your argument is to back up the claim that the preservation of the Quran means it's from God. Let me ask you this very simply. Are you suggesting just because some book is preserved, even if it is preserved, which I don't think is the case at all, I'll get to that in a minute. Are you saying if a book is preserved, it is from God? Is that what you're saying?
From last 1400 years, the book.
So now you want time period included. Are you saying if a book is preserved for 1400 years, then it must be from God? Is that what you're saying?
Somehow, yeah, I'm trying to.
So if I show you a book from before the time of Jesus, some manuscripts right now. So one second.
There is no any contradiction.
You're veering away right now. You're veering away right now.
This is the one thing, but the second.
I'd like to stick to one thing, because otherwise you can be jumping from one place to another and none of them might be true. So one thing. Can we please very quickly agree? I'm sure you'd be able to quickly agree that logically speaking, just because a book is preserved, even if it is true, I don't think that is true at all, I'll come to that in a minute. But even if it is true, just because a book is preserved, it does not mean it is from God. I can show you a number of books outside. Have you ever heard of,
Tell me any book which is preserved from last 1400 years. Tell me.
I can tell you.
Just tell me anyone, just tell me.
So if you, are you,
You're not able to tell me.
are you aware of Dead Sea Scrolls?
So you mean this is preserved? The book is preserved?
Are you aware? Are you aware?
You're saying the book is preserved.
There are a number of books.
Just tell me one book.
There are a number of.
Tell me one book.
There are a number of books. A number of books in what is called the Dead Sea collection.
Okay, great.
Let me finish. Let me finish. There are a number of books which are today called what is called the Dead Sea Scrolls, a collection.
Okay.
Some of which are biblical books, some of which are not biblical books. I can name one for you, which we have even from before the time of Jesus. We can have a copy. Oh, the War Scroll.
The War Scroll is a book which is preserved.
Yeah, which is we have.
Okay. You mean preserved? Like how many people do you know that they have literally memorized the book from 2000
Now
years?
you're veering away. Now you're veering away.
You know why
You're not saying no. Excuse me, sir. One second. You know when an argument is a logical argument. Do you know when an argument is a logically sound argument? One second. Do you know when an argument is a logically sound argument? When you claim something, you don't have to make things up as you go along. One second. When you don't have to make things up as you go along, you can stick to the original argument.
You say 1,000 things without backing it with evidence. Can you back this thing with evidence that you said the book is preserved?
That's fine. I am
backing this thing with the evidence that millions of people have memorized.
coming to the evidence later. I'm asking you. Look. Maybe you're having a short-term memory loss here. Let me repeat what I said earlier. You think you have many reasons, but you began by saying preservation of the text. Preservation of the Quran means Quran is from God. That's what you claimed. I'd like to just stick to that claim, please. And I asked you because even that claim doesn't make sense to me, because it is not logically valid to claim just because a book is preserved. My diary is once. Just because a book is preserved, that it has to be from God. That doesn't logically follow. And that is where I'm giving you an example. You may not be aware. Are you aware of the Dead Sea Scrolls?
Let's see if I'm aware.
Are you aware of the Dead Sea Scrolls?
Okay, I'm aware of that thing.
Are you aware of the Dead Sea Scrolls?
I'm not aware.
Okay. In which case, you're arguing from ignorance, please. You argue. You can only.
I will just ask you one more question. You say there is a book which is preserved. You just made a statement. You're getting my point. I'm just asking you, can you tell me the evidence that the book is preserved? Do you have an evidence?
We have a copy.
We have a copy.
There we go. You won't listen. You won't engage.
We have a copy.
You don't engage in an argument. I thought you'd be a sensible man. I'm taking that comment back. I'm taking that comment back because you're not being sensible right now. You're not being sensible right now.
I'm saying a book is preserved. I make three statements. I said that the book is preserved. There is no contradictory evidence in it, and the book has been, for example, how the book has been preserved. It has been memorized by millions of people.
What's the evidence that anyone memorized the Quran during the time of Muhammad?
Then that's it.
What's the evidence that anyone memorized the Quran during the time of Muhammad?
The Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in Qumran between 1947 and 1956, containing over 200 copies of Old Testament books, including an almost complete scroll of Isaiah. What's truly remarkable is that this scroll, dated to the 2nd century before Christ, is nearly identical to the modern version of Isaiah we have today. Scholars found that 95% of the text is word for word the same, and the remaining differences are merely minor, variations in spelling or word order that do not alter the meaning. This is physical, tangible evidence, not tradition, not oral claims, but real documents that can be tested, examined, and verified. It shows that the biblical text was faithfully preserved centuries before the birth of Jesus. Yet when evidence like this is presented, many Muslims become dismissive. They often claim that the large number of biblical manuscripts is confusing, as if it weakens the Bible's reliability. But academically, the opposite is true. The abundance of manuscripts, though slightly different, actually confirms the core message remains intact across time and geography. Gospel manuscripts have been found in Greek, Latin, Syriac, and Coptic, across continents, all carrying the same voice. This proves that the message spread freely, without centralized political control, unlike the Qur'an, which was standardized under Caliph Uthman, who ordered all other versions to be burned. In the world of textual criticism, manuscript variation is not a weakness, it's a strength. It allows scholars to cross-check and reconstruct the original text with incredible precision. Meanwhile, Muslims often boast that millions around the world have memorized the entire Qur'an. But when asked a more specific question, did the companions of Muhammad memorize the full Qur'an, they struggle to answer. In fact, Sahih al-Bukhari records that after the Battle of Yamama, Umar ibn Khattab feared that parts of the Qur'an would be lost because many who had memorized it had died. So Abu Bakr ordered Zayd ibn Thabit to collect the Qur'an from palm leaves, stones, and the memories of men. If the companions had already memorized it in full, why the desperate need to collect scattered fragments? This clearly shows that the Qur'an's preservation was not solidly based on memory, at least not at that time. Even though Muslims today memorize the Qur'an, they cannot prove that Muhammad's earliest followers did the same. In short, we have physical evidence. They have oral claims. We have real manuscripts that can be verified across continents. They rely on collective memory that cannot be traced back to the 7th century with certainty. Historically and textually, the Bible stands on far firmer ground than the Qur'an, which depends heavily on a single political authority and undocumented oral transmission in its earliest years.